right, folks, welcome to Gun Owners Radio, FM 96.1, AM 1170.
The Answer.
Hey, if you have legal matters that involve firearms that you need to call Attorney John Dillon. If you have questions about red flag laws, gun registration, gun transportation, or maybe you just need to know that your guns are California compliant, you can call our trusted firearms attorney, John Dillon. John Dillon specializes in California gun laws. Call 760-642-7150, or you can visit his website at DillonLawGP.com.
I forgot I was supposed to say the answer. Missing Action Jackson today.
Yeah, where is the little rascal?
He had some stuff to do, but if you're listening,
He's
Jackson,
8 years
we miss
old.
you.
What has he got to do?
He's got a full plate, He's got some briefs to file.
And he's got some things. Okay,
big
I got
report due. You know how it is. Beginning of the year.
Absolutely. So, by the way, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
Happy New Year, Joe.
Well, thank you.
We have Angel Cortez in the studio. How you doing, man?
Good. Thank you for having me on here.
Now that you called me out.
We're gonna interview Angel in depth later in the show. But thanks for being on the show, man. I'm really looking forward to it.
Me too.
So we are. There's actually. I want to make sure that Shaun Fredrickson's on the line. Shaun, are you out there?
Yes, sir.
How you doing, man?
I'm well. How are you guys doing?
Good. Welcome to Gun Owners Radio. We're proud that we're going to have a booth at an event that you're a big part of this weekend called the Freedom Revival Rally, right?
Yes, sir.
And honestly, I don't know much about it.
Yeah.
I don't know much about it. I saw some of the guest speakers. I know my favorite politician, Sheriff Chad Bianco from Riverside, is going to be there. He's going to be a speaker. It looks like it's going to be a big event. So we wanted to have you on for a few minutes and just talk about it. What's the purpose of the event?
Well, we're essentially aiming to start 2022 on the right foot, where 2020, 2021 have been filled with propaganda and fear. Therefore, we're going to start 2022 with a massive event in San Diego to set the precedent that we're no longer playing the game of fear. We're going to be courageous, we're going to be open about it, and we're going to gather, and we're going to be happy and not be controlled by this narrative any longer.
So let's talk fear of and narrative. Let's get specific. What are we talking?
I love it. So the fear of our neighbors, man. Division has been a thing that has been used, I think, as a tactic to control the population. And so we're going to get people together to talk. We're providing resources like your booth where people can come and ask you questions. What is Gun Owners Radio? What are you guys doing? What can I do to help be a part of that? And that's really an objective of getting together at the height of fear with the propaganda coming from the COVID narrative is what I'm talking about with
the COVID narrative. And this is not the first time you've used the word propaganda. I know you've been in front of the county board and everybody's favorite Nathan Fletcher, you have described a lot of things coming out of the county of San Diego as propaganda. Give us some specifics.
Yeah. So what they're doing is they're claiming that there are no other solutions to the COVID virus, but going to the hospital and getting their protocol. They're going to hide any other remedies, natural remedies, have you go work out, have you outside, exercising, that kind of thing, as well as this idea that you need to take your liberty away, that you're not capable of governing yourself, that you have to believe the church of science rather than your own moral compass. And we, being Christians, we recognize that the nation was founded on religious liberty as well as liberty like sovereignty. Therefore, we're capable of governing ourselves, and the government's getting they're getting too invested in controlling us. Like, it's not about big government's not the problem. The limitless government is the problem.
Well, Shaun, and I like the way you phrase that too, the Church of Science. But and even that wouldn't be too unreasonable if we were actually following the Church of Science. But it seems like it's more political science than other science.
So I agree completely. You can't question it anymore. That's the problem. That's where it turns into propaganda. Science that is not questionable is propaganda.
And that's where it's not science anymore. You're right.
There you go. Yep.
So you're gonna have a ton of speakers, right? And it's going on. Talk about the specifics. Where do people go? When do they show up? How much does it cost?
Yeah, great question. So it'll be at Waterfront Park in San Diego, and the address is 1600 Pacific Highway. It's right there by the Star of India. There's a big green lawn that we're going to be on. And we're calling for thousands to come show up. It's totally free. This is 100% volunteer created, self-funded. We're asking for donations at freedomrevival.org. You can give for donations if you'd like to be a part of it, if you believe in what we're doing, and this idea of individual liberty, freedom in Christ, freedom in free people. And the objective is just to encourage people to stop being controlled by fear. Like, safety first is a terrible way to live life. That's not the way that America was established. It's not safety first. Safety may be third, fourth, or fifth, but really it's liberty and is the key objective here that we're pushing towards. And so we're bringing pastors from around Southern California, so LA County, Ventura, Santa Barbara, Riverside, Orange, and San Diego together to one event. So you can show, and these are the pastors that have really stood up against the government. So Pastor Cheon in Pasadena, he sued the California government, went to the Supreme Court, and back in February, they won the Supreme Court ruling in favor of religious liberty. So we're bringing him in, as he's been an exemplary individual, to show what it looks like to be courageous.
So is it if you're not particularly religious, is this a place you know, should you still come down or?
Oh, absolutely. So just like the founding fathers, you know, there's no mandate to believe one religion. We're a Judeo-Christian nation, which means that you can believe whatever you want to believe, but it's the recognition that we all have sovereignty if we're willing to bear that responsibility. And you know, there are some founders that said if you can't carry liberty, then you'll need a master. And I think that's what we're at. We're recognizing that we want to preserve our own liberty. And so, yeah, if you're not religious, come on down. Absolutely.
Okay.
We're going to encourage you and empower you.
All right, so it's the county administration building. It's Waterfront Park. It's right across from the Star of India. It's free. Everybody come down this Saturday at noon.
The one coming up.
Yep, this coming up Saturday at noon.
January 8th.
January 8th. And really, this is an opportunity to see a lot of cool vendors. If you're not a member of San Diego County Gun Owners or Orange County Gun Owners is going to be there as well. So if you're not a member of San Diego County Gun Owners or Orange County Gun Owners, come on down. You can sign up. Or if you just want to see all the other cool vendors and listen to some great speakers, come on down. And great. Awesome. Well, thank you, Shaun. Appreciate it.
Totally. Such a pleasure. Thanks, guys, for having me on.
Do you have a website?
Yeah, freedomrevival.org.
All right.
Freedom Revival. I like it.
Yes, sir.
.org.
Let's go.
You got it. Go get him, Tiger.
Appreciate you guys.
Our pleasure. All right.
What do you think, man?
I think that's
you gonna
awesome.
go, Dave?
Michelle will be in Palm Springs, and I will be schlepping dogs.
You be dog schlepping?
That actually sounded great. I was just thinking, I could go to that, but I'll be teaching Saturday. But maybe I could get Nina and some of her friends to go down there.
What was the hours again?
Noon to like 4 or 5. Probably.
How late do you train?
He's there all day.
Well, I'll be teaching all day till 5:30 or so. 5
Big
o'clock.
CCW class.
Big CCW class.
Yeah. So we're gonna have a booth. They invited us. They reached out specifically to ask us to be there. So we're happy to be there. Orange County's going to be there. Steve Mills he's the executive director for Orange County Gun Owners is going to be there.
Free parking?
I don't know. I don't know if it's free park. Probably
there's
not
no parking
downtown. Yeah.
No stinking parking.
There's no. Yeah. You're gonna have to figure that out. I would Uber.
Just park wherever you want.
They're talking about thousands of people.
That's what I said.
So
park wherever you want.
It depends on where you're coming from, but I would park.
I know where you're parking.
Where?
Anywhere you want.
That's right. Well, you do that when you got a Jeep.
You got a Jeep with big tires.
Yeah, wherever. I'm going to find a Miata and park on top.
I think that's a great idea. Hey, don't touch that dial, folks. There's a whole lot more at Gun Owners Radio, FM 96.1, AM 1170.
The Answer.
Well, Happy New Year. What does 2022 have in store for our gun owners packs? In San Diego, Orange County, Inland Empire, and Los Angeles. So Michael Schwartz will be next to share the plan.
But first, self-defense and emergencies can happen to anyone, and there is no guarantee that the justice system will be on your side. Make sure you are protected for the legal battle after your self-defense battle. While you protect your family and property, excuse me, U.S. Law Shield is here to defend you 24/7, 365 days a year. With a comprehensive self-defense coverage at an affordable price. Oh, I'm going to choke to death here.
Hey, easy.
Bad guys don't take days off, and neither does our coverage. Listeners get a free T-shirt when you use promo code Gun Owners Radio. Sign up today. Go to uslawshield.com.
That's how great that deal is.
By the way,
you
before you
choked on
get
it.
going, I was watching the news.
Yeah.
When this guy comes on, and he was trying to defend the fact that we should be like Great Britain. Because Great Britain has no guns, and they've only had 31 deaths.
Oh, well, that must be.
But his
that must be the
reasoning is
answer.
because we have too many guns, and we need to take all the guns away from everybody in the United States.
Where was this? Where were you watching this?
It was on Fox.
Fox News?
Yeah, they were interviewing, because they try to give a guy from the left and a guy
Right.
from the right. And I mean, I literally just stopped in my tracks. I could not believe he was that ignorant.
I don't think people really truly realize how bad it is outside of the United States.
I don't either. But he said it was good. It's good that Britain has no weapons.
That they take. They have no way to defend yourself.
None.
I know they've had a 27% increase in gun crimes, and they've seized the number of guns they've seized has quadrupled in that period of time.
No.
That was a
You're
couple
watching
years
the
ago.
wrong station.
I must be, yeah.
Because that's not what he's.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, there really truly is. It's amazing. Even when I talk to people who are who come to this country and maybe they trained in a foreign military or whatever. Yeah, there's no. It's amazing how restrictive things are. It's amazing how little ability you have to defend yourself when you're outside of the 50 states.
Right.
It's amazing how you truly don't get treated like you have rights.
No.
It's a privilege, and they can take that privilege away from you like you're a child.
I mean, it was
Like you're a child.
It was mind-boggling. I mean, I couldn't believe it that the guy had the nerve to even sit there and say what he said with a clear conscience.
Yeah.
Well, and again, too, the laws don't impact the criminals. They were the article
No.
I was talking about. They were interviewing a gun runner, and he said it's very easy to get guns in and out of England, and they sell for about 4 times what they sell for all around Europe. So it's not you're not impacting criminals.
But this
with
guy
these things.
doesn't know that.
No,
All he knows is
He knows. He's just not.
Well, yeah.
He's
one
not
of the
being truthful.
one of the Magnum episodes we did was with the head of basically their NRA in Australia. The NRA, Australia's NRA, it wasn't NRA, but it was their equivalent.
Their equivalent,
organization in Australia, and it was amazing. You can actually check it out on our YouTube channel. But the spike in crime that happened after they took all the guns is mind-boggling.
right.
So there was if memory serves, there were fewer gun crimes or crimes with a gun.
Mm-hmm.
But there were more crimes with a bat. There were more
Right.
crimes with a knife. There were more crimes with fists, because they knew, hey, fewer people have the ability to defend themselves.
It's crazy.
It is crazy. So that is exactly why we designed and run and created San Diego County Gun Owners. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about our vision. We just had a series of meetings. We have a board meeting coming up, and really, truly did a lot. Wendy, the CEO of San Diego County Gun Owners, myself, Steve Mills up in Orange County, Carla in Inland Empire, all these people sat around and put together, all right, well, what are we going to do? This is our 6th year in San Diego. We're going into our 6th year. We've come a long way. And, I'm still trying to figure out how to put it, 'cause it's definitely a pivotal year. Meaning, I was saying that it was a crucial year. I don't think it's a crucial year because that's not really the right word. Because San Diego County Gun Owners is going to be around forever. Say crucial, it sounds like, hey, if we don't do something, we're not going to exist anymore. No, but it's definitely a pivotal year for the organizations in general. And what I mean by that is that we have a big election that we can focus on. It's not a presidential election. So everybody focuses on the president when it's a presidential election, and that we don't endorse on the federal level. We endorse on the local level. So it is going to be an enormous year for elections in Orange, Riverside, San Bernardino, and San Diego, and we have the ability to really truly focus on those elections. And we really proved beyond a shadow of a doubt again, but this was a huge proof that our system works, what we're trying to do and what we're attempting to accomplish and the organization that we're putting together and the activities that we're promoting works. And that was really, really, really proven with Laura Lothian in La Mesa. We did everything that we said we were designed to do. We had the resources, we had the people, we had the money to get her elected, and she won by 20 percentage points in La Mesa,
Crazy.
even though the registration was against her. She was a first-time candidate. Well, I guess she'd run one other time, but she wasn't an incumbent. This was an open seat, and we got her in by a huge margin, which had a ripple effect in a bunch of other areas, not just the Second Amendment, frankly. A lot of people who, maybe the Second Amendment isn't their first priority were real happy that she got elected because there were a lot of things that she blocked, a lot of power that was taken by La Mesa, and La Mesa City Council got turned around. So we're really, really, really going to focus on these local elections. Let's talk about San Diego specifically. So San Diego, we have a lot going around. We have a fully actualized, fully built-out organization where we have our shooting socials, where we teach people how to shoot, and we have our Not Me, where it's a program for women, run by women, to make sure that any woman who wants can get a gun, can get training, can get a CCW. We have our tabletops, our gun shop tabletops. We have Gun Owners Radio. Everything's going on in San Diego. We have a bunch of stuff going on in San Diego. All of these things are designed. The reason we do these things, the reason we do the tabletop shooting socials, the reason we get more members, which, by the way, we're over 3,000 members now. I'm very proud of that.
I remember when you were trying to break 1,000.
I remember. Yeah.
Remember that? You go, oh, we're almost at 1,000.
We're almost at
Oh, my
1,000.
gosh. I better sit down and take a break.
So all of this is designed to get resources and a network put in place so that when there is an election, we can get the word out. We can basically activate people. People can do what they need to do, which isn't just voting. I mean, that's the very bare minimum. Hey, vote for these people. These are the folks that'll protect your Second Amendment rights. But also, we need people to get other people to vote, and there's a lot of ways people can do that. They can simply ask their friends and family, or they can do something a little more complicated, like the walks, the neighborhood walks that we do, all that other good stuff. Which I say more complicated. We do the complicated part. Our members just have to show up and roll up their sleeves and drop some information off or whatever at different places. So everything that we do, all the training, all the new shooter training, the women's training, all these things that we do, it's all in an attempt to gather resources. What I mean by resources, there are only two things. You guys have heard me say this a million times. There are only two things only two tools in the toolbox when it comes to politics, and that's people and money. So the more people and the more money we raise, the more successful we're going to be in politics. It's that simple. It's that simple a formula. And the other thing is to build a network. We want to be able to disseminate the information as quickly and efficiently as possible to as many people as possible. In politics, the only thing you can never have enough of is time. Never have enough time. You don't have enough money, you can go get more money. You don't have enough people, you can go get more people. You don't have a message, you can come up with a message. But time, you can't get time back. There's an election that's happens in June and one in November. You start wasting or running out of time, you can't get it back. So the quicker and more efficiently we can get our message out, the better. Now our board, which we have like 30 people, Joe's a proud member of our board.
Proud member.
We have, we're continuing to vet candidates out, and they're going to vote on a voter guide. It'll be out, a couple months before June, and then there will be another one that'll be out a couple months before November, and we're going to spend real money promoting this voter guide. Some of the big election stuff that's happening is, for example, so we're going to have to get Laura Lothian elected again in La Mesa because she was a special election. But the real big one is the sheriff, and that's a huge race, which Joe and I pay attention to. Joe especially looks after the CCW numbers all the time. And the sheriff really, really, really has huge discretion over how these CCWs are issued, who gets one, how the process works, how efficient it is. That's going to be a huge election. And the current sheriff, who we've gotten to issue CCWs, we used all our resources to get him to open up CCWs so that pretty much anybody that can pass a background check, takes the class, submits the application, and pays the fee, you're getting a CCW in San Diego. We've gotten him to open up the process. He's leaving. He's not running again. So there are a few candidates. The good news is all the candidates are making noise like they are pro-Second Amendment. We have some very real proof that they are pro-CCW. So that's the good news. But we still have to play this thing right. We still have to make sure that we get the right person in and that we get the resources to do that. So it's crucial in San Diego that people get involved and get the word out. We could absolutely take over. Oceanside City Council is good. It could easily turn. San Marcos. San Marcos should absolutely be a pro-Second Amendment city council, and it's not. It's not. There is no reason we can't take that back over. Escondido is going to have a huge race. They have they're right on the. They have at least one city council member that's leaving, who has been a fantastic ally of ours, and so we have to fill his seat. Their mayor is fairly weak on Second Amendment issues, and they have a really, really strong candidate running for strong Second Amendment guy running for city council in Escondido. The one city that is basically going to be a disaster is the city of San Diego. It's the 17 other city councils where we really truly have a real chance of getting some Second Amendment people in here. So that's San Diego. So we're going to talk about Inland Empire. We're going to talk about Orange. We're going to talk about statewide in the next segment. But it's going to be a huge year.
All right, don't touch that dial. This is Gun Owners Radio, FM 96.1, AM 1170.
The Answer.
Hey, does selling your home feel overwhelming? Well, it really doesn't have to be that way. With Scott Vinson from Coldwell Banker Royal Realty, Scott Vinson is the perfect guide to help you sell or buy your home. Scott has also been a San Diego County gun owner board member from the very start. So if you're moving, let fellow Second Amendment supporter and real estate broker Scott Vinson help you sell your home and find you a new home anywhere else in the United States. Call him today at 619-948-2459. Tell him you heard it right here on Gun Owners Radio. Call Scott at 619-948-2459, or you can go online to scottvinson.com.
So we're talking about what's going on in San Diego County gun owners. Of course, we have our Second Amendment celebration dinner coming up on June 18th. So mark your calendars and join us on June 18th. We'll really start to promote that, probably starting in February. But that's not the only thing that's going on in California as San Diego County gun owners. Inland Empire, of course, Riverside and San Bernardino combined to become Inland Empire gun owners. And Carla is doing a fantastic job out there running the organization. And we're looking we think we've grown Inland Empire enough. I say we, it's mostly Carla. She's doing a fantastic job. And Mike Cook out there and all the fantastic board members and members who work hard to grow Inland Empire. It looks like we're going to be able to pretty quickly hire Carla on as a full-time executive director, so she can really, really, blow that thing up out in Inland Empire. And they have a couple of big elections. They have both Inland Empire, both Riverside and San Bernardino are electing sheriffs. Chad Bianco, the Riverside County sheriff, that guy's fantastic. We need to make sure that he gets reelected, which I think will be a pretty, you still have to do the work, but I think he'll do just fine getting reelected. He's very popular. He's done a really great job. And then McMahon and San Bernardino stepped down, and his undersheriff is going to be running. So we think he's probably going to be the horse to pick in that race. But Inland Empire has enormous potential. Their Not Me program, their gun shop tabletop program, their shooting socials, all taking off and doing a really, really great job. And that's a crucial part. You add up all the Inland Empire, it's bigger than Orange County, it's bigger than San Diego. It's a lot of people there. And it's a lot more purple than people think. Not that we're partisan, but there's definitely I think people make the assumption, oh, San Bernardino, oh, Riverside, they're definitely pro-gun. Well, not so much anymore. They're kind of becoming or have become a suburb of L.A., believe it or not. So not exactly. It's not a walk in the park. There are a lot of city council members. There are a lot of elected officials in both those counties that don't really care about your Second Amendment rights and think that they should probably be more restricted. Orange County, Don Barnes is the sheriff. I can't imagine him not getting reelected. He's done a fantastic job. He did a great job during the mostly peaceful protests last year. And the fires that happened, did a great job, and he's running a model CCW program. And when I say model, I mean that the rest of the state really has looked to Orange County to copy their model. Steve Mills is doing a great job up there running Orange County Gun Owners. We're really going to put a lot of effort into growing their organization. They're going to have their second gun prom coming up, probably somewhere in March, maybe April. We'll let you guys know, but they're going to have a nice Second Amendment celebration dinner in Orange County, which should be great. And they're looking to grow that. We just had 1,000 people in San Diego, so in Orange County they're looking to grow that to be just as big. And that's important too. Orange County is right next door to L.A. In L.A., we actually, if you go to lacountygunowners.com, there's already a website up for LA County Gun Owners. There isn't officially a PAC yet, so it's not a full organization yet. But what you'll find if you live in the LA area or you know somebody that does, is there are instructions. If you give us your email address, we'll give you instructions on how to apply for a CCW. So their sheriff is running for re-election. He definitely could use some help because he's starting to issue for the first time, I think, ever. I'm not sure LA has ever issued CCWs.
To ordinary people, anyway.
To what? Say that again?
To ordinary people.
Yeah, not to ordinary people. And there are a lot of ordinary people in LA that would like to be able to defend themselves. So check that out. If you know anybody in the LA area, the other organization we're looking to build is Bay Area Gun Owners, which is really 6 or 7 counties in one organization. And that is going to be, that's going to be huge. Huge meaning it's a big project. 6, 7 counties all wrapped up into one organization. And those 6 or 7 counties are the San Francisco Bay Area. I mean, man, our work's cut out for us.
And I think that's just a really noble mission there to take on up there, because there's so many. I think there's got to be a lot of normal people that are trapped up in that area, and anybody reaching out to, in any area. We happen to be doing it for the Second Amendment, but I mean there's lots of constitutional rights, I guess, that Americans take for granted that are kind of abused up there. So I think it'd be good news for them to see somebody trying to help them out.
Yeah, truly. There really was. We got a good response. People are worried. Gee, I don't think it'll ever work, or gee, I'm not brave enough to come out of the Second Amendment closet and, or the Second Amendment shadow. But that's how it was in San Diego. People don't remember that. This was just 6 years ago that we started our organization. And, we weren't some gun heavy county. I mean, no one was paying attention to your Second Amendment rights. Nobody. And there was a lot of people that said the exact same thing in San Diego, that, hey, this will never work. No one will ever care about guns. And we proved them wrong. We're a political force, and, you have to pay attention to us. And we're getting strong enough to where basically you're going to have to go through us in order to get elected on any border council in San Diego. So I think we can do it. It's going to be a monumental task in the Bay Area. It's going to be a big deal in LA, but I know we can do it. I know our plan works. And one of the big things that's happening this year that everybody's going to see, and this is going to benefit the entire state and possibly other states, is our Not Me program. Our women's program has become so successful. Basically, it's such a good idea. It's so well run that we're spinning it off to a 501c3. So it's going to be its own organization. And a 501c3 is an actual charity, so that usually donations are tax deductible. And the whole purpose of a 501c3, of course, they can't really do much in the political realm, but what they can do is education, especially education. And that's what we're going to do. We're benefiting the community by making sure the whole goal of Not Me is to stop domestic violence and sexual assault by making sure that any woman who wants can come to us and work with a trained volunteer who's also a woman to purchase a firearm, get the training they need on that firearm, and then get a CCW so they can carry that firearm anywhere in order to defend themselves, in order to protect themselves. And over 500 women in 2 years have gone through that program, and it's been wildly successful. And if any of those steps are too expensive, they don't have the money to buy a firearm, or they can't afford training, if any of those steps are too expensive, we look for discounts or grants. And so that we want to make sure that a woman's self-defense is not cost prohibitive. So that's why we've spun this off into its own organization, so that we can raise resources just for that cause. And this was really, I mean, we're a political organization. You know, we have more in common with, a political party than we do the NRA, for example, or the CRPA. We're a political organization. And this idea just was was a project of this organization, but it's turned into such a powerful and successful idea that we're spinning it off into its own organization, which is enormous. And I know Wendy, who runs it, it's her baby, it's her idea, and she designed it and is running it. Wendy gets inquiries from all over the country. People want to know, how do we do that here, wherever here is. I think she's gotten inquiries from Florida and a bunch of other different states. Well,
it meets such a great need out there, too, because we've had, Wendy's had over 500 now, women go through the program.
Yep.
And, that's such a daunting thing because, when we'll talk to women at the shooting socials and things like that. And if you're trying, you've made the decision, you want to learn a little bit more about firearms, maybe you want to get a gun or you want to get a concealed carry, where do you start? Who do you talk to? Where do you, it's so almost overwhelming out there, and it's great to have an organization of women right there that's ready to step up and help.
It's crazy, too. So we have a shooting social once a month, the second Saturday of the month. It's cheap, $60. That covers everything: gun, ammo, target, eyes and ears, and you get an instructor, you get a mentor to help you learn how to shoot. We do that every month. We do a women's only shooting social for Not Me every other month. And I can't even tell anymore at the regular shooting socials. I can't tell whether it's a women's shooting social or not, because like 80, 90, 100% of the shooting socials are women. And I like to ask, hey, how'd you find us? And they find us through media. They find us through word of mouth. But there are so many women, and it's become kind of cliche to say that, the largest demographic, the fastest growing demographic in the gun world are women. Man, we're seeing it. This is where the rubber meets the road. So any support we can give that effort, I think it's really, really great. And it's thanks to all our members that we're able to support that program and now get it launched into its own entity, its own actual program. And I got to tell you, this is probably the thing I'm most proud of in San Diego County Gun Owners. Not me, what it has become and it is becoming is the thing I'm definitely most proud of. It speaks to everybody, and it's extremely effective. So thank you, everybody. At the dinner we did a paddle race. You know what a paddle race is? Everybody's got like their own number at a dinner, and I'm number 528, and if I raise my paddle, that means I'm pledging a certain amount of money.
You go to too many dinners, I think.
I go to a lot of dinners, yeah. But anyway, we did a paddle race. All it is, hey, who wants to donate to Not Me? And you raise your hand, your paddle, and give money. You're not, it's not a raffle. It's nothing like that. $15,000 raised.
Wow.
$15,000.
By the way, did you post last week's show that I did for Not Me?
I think Rich did. Yes, it's posted.
Did you?
So that's what's coming up. What we need from you is your membership. We need you to join, and then we need you to get involved. So the $10 a month, extremely effective. We're extremely thankful for it. But then get involved. So whether you're in Orange County, Inland Empire, or San Diego, get involved, join, become a member, and
All
Be the
right.
change you want to see.
Sounds great. This is Don't Touch That Dial. Joe's coming up next with a gear review. His first one of 2022. Right here on Gun Owners Radio, FM 96.1, AM 1170.
The Answer. How do you carry your extra mags? Joe Dramisi is up next with his first gear review of 2022.
That's right. But first, most companies waste a lot of money on marketing. The reason why is because they don't have a clear message. You are wasting money on your website. You are wasting money on your website, your social media, and your advertising if you don't have a clear, easy to understand message. Sage Tree gets it. Since 2005, Sage Tree has been helping companies clarify their message and connect with customers. Contact them today and learn about their proven system to help you get better return on investment from your marketing dollars. Go to sagetree.com and learn a whole lot more. All right, Joe, what do you got?
Okay, so I've got a couple of magazine carriers, spare magazine carriers from Extra Carry. And these are for the concealed carrier who feels the need to carry an extra magazine, which I have to admit I don't do right now, but I know lots of people that do carry a spare magazine. And there's different reasons for carrying a spare magazine. I kind of go back and forth. And, at the moment I have a lot of other junk that I seem to carry around. But, had I, if I ever make the decision, I guess, or go with that if I ever feel like I have a need, I guess, because I may do that at some point, to carry a spare magazine, this is a good way to do it. And camera-wise, I don't know if you guys see that we have a camera guy today. So there's two versions that I have here, two flavors. I've got this first one is for the Glock 19, and then the other one I have is just generic for any 9mm magazine, and it's a kind of an adjustable thing. So we'll do the Glock 19 one first. And these are really nice. What I like about it too is, being an old guy, I like it when they actually put some material in here with the product. So you get actually a flyer. They've taken the time to give you some information about the product as well, which is nice. And you could see it here. And I've got a 9mm magazine in here, a Glock 19 magazine. So this is a 15-round magazine. And you can see this is all one piece. It's carbon reinforced nylon is what this is made out of. And you can see the back of it. And very, little. It's not much to it. It's one whole molded piece. And it clips onto the, let's see, put it around that way. It clips onto your, inside your pocket, basically. If you, you can see here on the picture. So it clips onto your pocket and sits on the inside. And actually, it's pretty comfortable. I've been wearing these off and on all week. And it's actually a pretty comfortable fit here. The, if I could, I don't know, can you see this if I stand up? Well, if I stand up, I won't be able to talk to you. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, we can try to do this. I have a pocket with me.
We have the technology.
So, so let's see. If I were to put it in my pocket here, it fits in like that, and it just snaps in. And it's not bad. I saw one of the, there's one guy that did a review that said, well, you could see a big square thing in your pocket. It doesn't look like a knife. And I don't know really that I noticed that in my pocket. I mean, I don't see anything like that.
I don't either. And so what?
Well, that's what I was saying. In Lakeside where I live, everybody and his uncle carries a knife. Everybody's got stuff clipped to them. So, it's just not that big of a deal. The other thing that's interesting is, let me just look here. You can see it's in my pocket. What's nice about this is you can grab it pretty easily and come out, if I put it in the right way, you can grab it pretty easily and come out indexed, which it's interesting because if you're doing this and you're reloading, you want to come out with it like this and then index it right up into the gun. And it's interesting on their video, I noticed the guy that shows it on the video kind of pulls it out like this and then kind of pushes it with a finger up into the gun to demonstrate it, which is interesting. If you do this kind of stuff a lot, you'll know that you want to grab it in there. You want to index it with your finger basically along the front of the magazine, and it goes right up into the mag well.
So the mag goes into your pocket upside down so you can grab it properly.
Right, and it's pretty much the way it would be. Again, if you were shooting and you have these mag pouches on your belt anyway, it's pretty much how it would be in there. So it's sitting in there like this, basically. So you would reach into the pocket, grab it like that. It comes out indexed, and you're ready to go.
Oh yeah.
So it holds it pretty nicely. The what's interesting too is if you look on the video for the way that they show it on the manufacturer's site, they say that you put it in like this. So this clip rotates 90 degrees, and what you would do is you put it. Whoops,
Oh yeah.
yeah, you put it down into the pocket like that, and then rotate this clip around onto the pocket. Which I don't know that I would do it that way. It seems like if you do that, this is pretty solid. I don't know how long that would last. Turning it like that, and I don't see the reason really. I mean, unless I missed something on there, because you can see there's a pretty nice gap here. You got enough springiness in it to just tuck it down in there. So it works pretty well. And like I was saying, I was wearing it, and it was pretty comfortable with me all week in my pocket. The one thing I would say though is sitting down with it. This comes up pretty high out of your pocket, and this isn't adjustable. When we take a look at the other one they have, this is for the this one here is for just a generic 9-round magazine. So what I have in here is a Glock 17 double stack magazine. And if you look on the inside of it, if you look on the side here, this piece adjusts in and out. So there's a screw here, there's a screw there, and there's a screw there. So this will adjust in and out and make this thicker or thinner for different widths of magazines. So this one's completely adjustable. The other thing on here is there's screws in the back that are adjustable that allow you to raise this thing up or lower back down, to make it, to put it exactly where you want it. So this one's a little bit more adjustable than this one is. And this one looks like kind of a lower profile here, or it seems to be. Although now that I look at it, yeah, it's about the same size. But anyway, it's pretty secure. This one seems more secure. Like if I shake it like that, it's not coming out on the adjustable one. Whereas the one for the Glock 19, I mean, it's fine in your pocket. But again, somebody was a little bit critical, saying, well, if you're wrestling around or something, it's going to come out. Yeah, it might be. But again, it depends on how you dress too. I wear jeans mostly nowadays. If I ever get old enough to wear old guy pants where I've got baggy pockets and stuff, and I find myself wrestling around somewhere, yeah, I guess it might move around. But if I'm wrestling around somewhere, I got bigger problems, I think. So,
do you think that will make you more likely to carry a magazine?
No. Well, the thing is, I carry, I got so much room here. I got so many pockets. I carry the pepper spray because I feel good about that because I'm getting too old now to be doing, more physical hands-on stuff. So I'm comfortable with the pepper spray. I've got a small flashlight in that pocket. I've got a knife in the other pocket. So I'm already carrying stuff. So that's kind of the one thing, because I know some people carry them. They just carry a spare magazine loose in their pocket. And the problem with that is if you have to get to it kind of quickly, if it's loose in your pocket, you're going to be fishing around for it. With this, if I were to carry it, I think I would do something like this, because with this, it's right there. There is no, I assume if you need another magazine, something bad is happening and you're in a hurry. So you don't really want to be fishing around in your pockets. And my jeans tend to shrink nowadays. I know they shrunk again since Christmas, and it just seems harder to get stuff in and out of pockets nowadays.
Be the weather. It's probably the weather.
So yeah, that's what I'm thinking. But
well, it's you had a good point off the air right before you went on. Especially if they do this ridiculous. I mean, right now we're safe. Our normal capacity magazines are safe. You can possess them. But if we ever get to the point where you're limited to 10-round magazines, I think all of us would be far more likely to carry a second magazine.
See, and that's what I'm thinking. I mean, and there's other reasons to carry a spare magazine. It's not that you're necessarily going to need 15 rounds. I mean, I'm not a cop. I can get, it doesn't take me 15 rounds to get 2 hits. But sometimes
biting social commentary from Joe Gervisi.
Now it's all meant in jest. It's all good humor.
Oh.
Sometimes I think, like John Curry, I think, says about a third of the time on his channel they'll have more than one attacker to where you might need more rounds like that. But the other thing is things happen with magazines. People inadvertently dump their magazine, they'll hit that mag release. If you're going to be under pressure like that, under stress, you're moving fast. Different things happen. Sometimes they just malfunction, and the answer is to drop the magazine. So having another magazine, it's not so much that you need 30 rounds, but just to have a spare magazine there, it might be a good deal. But I think you're right. I think if we get pushed back into substandard magazines where you've got to carry one with 10 rounds, I think a lot more people are likely to carry extra magazines.
I could definitely see a situation where my magazine gets screwed up and I immediately reload my Glock with my car fob, So
yeah.
at least having, like, hey, this is my spare magazine. Having an established place where your spare magazine is. But I'm with you too. I mean, at some point, you can't go out with a Batman utility belt.
Well, and that's what I'm saying too. And especially it depends on how you dress and what you wear and stuff. There may be other ways to move some things around or something, but right now I notice I'm comfortable with the pepper spray. I got talked back into the knife, mostly for opening Amazon boxes, I think, but I do have the knife now, and I finally found the small flashlight that's actually small enough to carry every day. So I've got things in the pockets, and right now it doesn't include another magazine, but I think if I did, this is not a bad deal. These things go for about $55, which is a little bit pricey, but it's a good solid thing. I think you probably buy this one time. This thing's going to last for a long time. I mean, if you feel them, they're pretty well made. They feel like they're pretty solid, so I think they would last quite a bit.
Nice.
And the website they have is extracarry.com, in case Dave thinks to ask me that.
Gun confiscation. Can it work in America? Get a grip with Joe Dramisi next.
But first, PRMI Mortgage, primeres.com/Alpine. Are you in the military looking for help for a VA loan? If you're looking to buy or refi, or if you're just considering a reverse mortgage, you need to call our mortgage guy that you can trust. Call Chris Wiley at PRMI Mortgage. For nearly 25 years, Chris has been helping local San Diegans with all their mortgage needs. Call Chris Wiley at 619-722-1303 or just go to primeres.com/Alpine. All right, Joe, what do you got?
Okay, so talk a little bit about gun confiscation. Not so much because I started out with, can it work in America? That doesn't really work anywhere they do it, but can it happen in America is a better question for that. So that's this week's article, which I will publish tomorrow morning on the gun owner's site, and you can find it on, or you'll be able to find it on getagrip.substack.com as well tomorrow morning. So I was looking at, the reason I started thinking about this is I read an article where the Canadian government, I guess, implemented a ban again, and it was an emotional reaction to some shooting they had up there, and they passed a law, I guess, to institute a gun ban back in May of 2020, I believe, and it's supposed to for sure go into effect in April this year, April 2022, and what they're doing is, it's a buyback kind of thing, and I call it a confiscation because that's really what it is. These buyback plans that you hear about, I mean, our government talks about them. Lots of other governments try them or do them. And it's not really a buyback thing. I think that's one of those deals with the language. Remember, we talk about the language being important. And I think that's a mistake sometimes that the gun community makes is we let maybe the anti-gun forces make up these things like gun violence and assault weapon and those kinds of terms that aren't really true terms. And buyback plans are really, I think a buyback thing falls into that category because, for one, the government never owned my guns, so they're not buying anything back. And, the buyer doesn't necessarily get to tell the seller what you're going to sell the thing for. And the buyer certainly doesn't get to buy things from the seller that the seller's not interested in selling. So they're not really buyback plans. They're confiscation schemes. But they're implementing this in Canada. And they estimate, because right now, I guess starting in May of 2020, people were supposed to be turning in their guns. And they estimate in Canada there were somewhere between 90,000 and 105,000 guns that would fall onto this restricted or banned list. And to date, they've got a total of 160 guns that have been turned in so far. So it doesn't sound like everybody's real enthusiastic up there. And one of the reasons, I guess, that they're saying that things haven't been, there hasn't been a lot of participation, I guess, is because they don't really have the system up and running yet. So for anyone that would be foolish enough to turn in a gun now, they wouldn't be compensated for it. So they think that's holding it up a little bit. But I was looking at that, and because Canada really, compared to other countries and different places, really did not have a big problem with violent crime, with criminals using guns to commit crimes. Really not a big problem with mass shootings and things like that. So kind of a knee-jerk reaction. There may be other motives behind this thing. But I was looking at that and thinking, okay, well, could that happen here? I guess could that kind of a buyback scheme be implemented? Because it's certainly been talked about here, and different countries have tried it. The UK has done it now for years. I guess they've tried to get rid of guns in their country, and we were talking about that a little bit in one of the other segments. And it's it really hasn't done that well in terms of crime there. I guess if you go with, what's the intended purpose? I would assume, giving governments the benefit of the doubt, that the intended purpose is to either reduce violent crime and or increase public safety. And it really doesn't seem to do that. The information coming out of the UK, with the exception of Dave's guy that he watched a little bit earlier. But, for the most part, it doesn't say much has been happening there in terms of reducing that kind of stuff. And the crime has shifted. I think Dave was mentioning earlier that, they have a lot of other violent crime now, that criminals use things other than guns. The other thing that's interesting in England, and we talked about this a couple of weeks ago when we did the Bump in the Night article, hot burglaries. The difference between, hot burglaries and cold burglaries. So cold burglaries being when the burglar comes into a house or a residence that's occupied versus that being a hot burglary is occupied. Cold burglary would be an unoccupied house. And in the United States, most burglaries, about 75% of them, are cold burglaries because burglars go to great lengths to make sure nobody's home before they sneak into the house to steal whatever they're going to steal. In the UK, it's completely different. It's 75% are hot burglaries.
Wow.
So, and I would imagine part of that at least is because they know people are unlikely to be armed.
That's a huge stat, really.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And it is interesting. And, so those things have unintended consequences, but they've done them in the UK. They've done them in Australia, which, Australia's crime was dropping anyway for years. Before, again, they had a mass shooting in 96, 35 people, I think, were killed. And that resulted in their severe, gun restrictions. And it really hasn't done much in terms of reducing crime over there. In Australia, they say they confiscated 700,000 firearms at a cost of about $700 million, and didn't really have much of an impact. So, I was thinking, could that happen here? And it could happen here. I guess we go back to the questions because lots of politicians here have talked about doing, banning what they call assault rifles, or doing some kind of buyback scheme or something like that. And everybody from Joe Biden to Hillary Clinton to the lowly Beto O'Rourke have talked about doing that kind of stuff. So, I think if you ask some questions, could it happen here? I think it could. In our current political climate, I think something like that could probably get through Congress. And if it got to Joe Biden's desk, he would sign it. Would it have any effect on crime in this country? Probably not. If anything, it would probably make us less safe, I would think, if they did something like that. Would it be struck down by the courts is another question, and probably, possibly, I don't know.
Depends on the court.
It would certainly be challenged, but, that's another question. In general, would Americans comply? And that's an interesting part, too. If you're in one of the more oppressed states where your rights are completely trampled, like California, New York, New Jersey, where the state knows what guns you have, they know who owns guns, they know what guns they are, it would be difficult to not comply, I think, in those states, because you'd be asking, as a gun owner, you would have to consciously make a decision to break a law, to actively break a law. And I think most people probably wouldn't do that. But in the, 43 or so free states, I doubt that compliance would be that high. But, you would know, I guess, until it would happen. But my guess would be in most of America, people really would be reluctant to comply. Because I think a lot of gun owners are more aware of the world. They're more aware of the purpose of guns, the reason we have guns, and I think they would be less likely to do something that endangers themselves or their families. But who knows? You have to wait and see. But if that were to happen here in America, would that be good for the country overall? My guess is that probably not. I think something like that would probably be bad for the country and bad for all Americans. But who knows?
No matter where you stand on COVID, and the response to COVID, whether you think everything they did was great or you think everything they did was horrible or you're somewhere in between, I do think it's proof positive that if there was some kind of extreme gun confiscation, people would comply.
All right.
Okay.
Hey, folks. Pretty interesting. Hey, don't go anywhere. From gang member to Army Ranger. We're talking to Angel Cortez in studio on Gun Owners Radio, FM 96.1, AM 1170.
The Answer.
So gang member to Army Ranger to entrepreneur, and Angel Cortez is in studio.
What a success story, huh?
We'll
But
see.
first, American Shooters is the newest gun shop in San Diego and Gun Owners Radio's newest show sponsor. American Shooters is having their grand opening on Wednesday, January 15th at 1464 Graves Avenue, just off the Bradley
Exit.
exit. Well, I got my face trapped in my headphones.
You all right, Dave?
I'm doing fine.
Happy New Year.
And if you're looking for a great gun shop for any of your firearm needs, go visit American Shooters. Tell Ernie you heard it right here on Gun Owners Radio. They have a great selection of new and used and consigned firearms. Put it in your calendar right now, January 15th for the grand opening celebration at American Shooters, 1464 Graves Avenue, off the Bradley exit in El Cajon.
So American Shooters, real quick. American Shooters is over by the Greek Chicken Place off of 67. It's really, I got to tell you, they pretty much, they were not open for the last like 2 years. So they missed the whole surge and the COVID thing. Go check out their selection. If you are any kind of collector, if you're looking for guns, if you're looking for ammo, go check out their selection. Awesome job.
How about some chicken?
And definitely pick me up some. I actually like the Euro. I like the Euro better than their chicken, but
Really?
you know, to each their own. Angel Cortez, how are you, man?
Good, sir. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. So I'm pretty fascinated by your story. Let's go chronologically. So what is it? So you were a gang member. You were
Yes.
a legit, no stuff gang member.
Card carrying.
Card carrying gang member.
Yes, sir.
What is that? What does that mean?
Well, wait a minute. Does he look like a gang member to you?
I don't know. What does a gang member look like? I don't
Well,
even
he
know.
doesn't look like this guy.
I'm a,
This guy looks like one of the nicest guys you'd ever want to meet.
I think so. I'm a pudgy white guy who lives in the suburbs.
You look.
I don't know. What
You look like a gang member.
Well, I don't know what gang that would be. It would be a pretty lazy gang.
It'd be
So what does that mean
Denny's.
to be a
Denny's
gang member?
boys, yeah.
Well, I was part of a local gang, and we did everything. We sold guns, drugs, various crimes, and depending on the level that you were at, you had your own crew within the gang, and obviously you're just trying to not get caught. And some guys are getting caught; they're doing prison time, or they're getting lost in drugs, or they're getting killed.
How old were you when you became a gang member?
14.
You're 14. Now, is there like is it like the movies? I mean, how do you become a gang member?
I became a gang member because I grew. When you're young, you're just a kid, so they ignore you for the most part. But then I became an age where I wasn't invisible to them. Like they could see me. They're like, "Hey, this guy's about to. What gang are you part of?" And at the time, I was just a skater. I just hung out with a bunch of skaters, and one day, one of them tried to steal our skateboard. And not mine, but it was my friend's skateboarder. And I remember I wanted to do something about it, but I couldn't because, they outnumbered us and I knew who they were and we were just skaters. But I realized I had to make a decision. I was either going to get punked by these guys from that day on, or I was going to stand up for myself. And I just wanted to stand up for myself. I didn't have I didn't want to be a gang member. This particular gang from my school would just do stuff like that. And I would see them pick on people all the time, steal their stuff, bully them. And I just wanted to stand up for myself. And I met some guys who are like, "Hey, we don't like those guys." And I was like, "Hey, I don't like them either." And they're like, you hang out with us. And little by little, they groom you to like, "Hey, man, maybe don't dress like that, or hey, you want to do this, you want to do that, and next thing you know, they're like, hey man, so you've been hanging out with us, you know, you want to get jumped in, and at that point, you know, you're already engulfed in all of it. So you're like, yeah.
What does it mean to get jumped in?
I had about 5 or 6 guys. Basically, you just have to fight them, and you get jumped in because, I mean, it's 5, 6 guys. So you just
Why do they all do that? It seems like every gang, there's the same initiation. Like, is there a?
Yeah, well, actually it varies because some of them, you know, they make you do a crime, like a serious crime first or something like that. I don't know where it started, but it kind of just became a thing where, you know, maybe because they want to see if you're tough or something. I don't know.
Okay, so you get jumped in, and then like, you know, how does it escalate? Like, it sounds like, hey, I just want to be a part of something. You know, I wanted to outnumber these guys that are picking on me. How does that escalate to drugs and guns and, you know?
Well, you know, I grew up poor, and when you are from a low income community, there's certain things in there, and that's crime and drugs. So it's already around you. So it's not like something that, you know, is foreign and you don't see or anything like that.
So the idea of somebody robbing a store or carrying an illegal gun or doing drugs, that wasn't really foreign to you. That was fairly common.
Yeah, because I remember like in our apartment complex, if I wanted to do laundry, you know, my mom would be like, "Hey, go put in the clothes," and I would go put in clothes, and you know, I would walk by certain apartments, and you can see the gang members hanging out, you know, drunk and doing drugs and
that wasn't weird. It wasn't like, oh my God, this is scary.
yeah, no, that was just normal. That, you know, there's kids playing and then there's gang members in the corner.
Were you ever, you know, okay, so you get jumped in and things start to escalate. Now you're a part of, you know, I'm sure that now you have responsibilities. You have you have to do what certain people tell you to do. There's certain things that are happening that you have to be a part of. You know, was there ever a time where you're just like, man, this is getting out of control? This isn't really what I wanted. You know, were you scared and
no, because
intimidated or?
Because I was angry at the time. I didn't really understand why, but I was angry because of my childhood. I had a very abusive childhood. My dad wasn't around. Obviously, you know, then you have you know, testosterone because you're a teenager going through puberty. So you have all this stuff going on. Then the peer pressure. But I knew I would look around and when I would hang out with them and some of these guys, I would just look at them and be like, dude, you and I are not the same. Like I'm just here for protection. I'm here because I want to be part of something, obviously, but I didn't know that I wanted to be part of something. It was just the lack of probably family back at home.
Yeah.
And I was selling drugs, and while some of the guys were selling drugs and buying chains and stuff like that, I was buying food for my brother and my sister because we didn't have anything. And I'm not trying to justify it, but you know, where in my situation and what I was dealt and what was in front of my face, that was the best option for me to do that stuff.
I'm guessing, I don't know, I'm guessing it didn't go through your head like, hey, what I'm doing is wrong. You know, like this is bad, I'm doing something wrong. It probably felt more like survival.
It felt, 100%. It was more survival than anything. And then, you know, at a certain point, I mean, I knew, I was like, there's no future to it. Like, you see it. Guys that I used to hang out with, next thing you know, one day they're dead because, you know, they got shot up.
Somebody, so like a friend of yours. So you're 14, 15, 16 years old.
Yeah.
And somebody that you were hanging out with last week, you know, in the same gang, and this week they're dead.
Yeah.
Like, do you remember the first time?
Yeah, I remember his nickname was Coco, and you know, he was just a little bit older than me. He was like 17 or 18, and when you're that young, it's you know, a lot older.
Huge. Yeah.
It's huge. So I remember, and social media wasn't what it was back then. This is, you know, 2005, 2004. Mm-hmm. So I remember hanging out. We're hanging in front of the apartments, and one of the guys comes around the corner, and he looks kind of sad, and he's like, "Did you hear about Coco?" And I'm like, "No, what are you talking about?" They're like, "He's dead." Like, what do you mean he's dead? I was just hanging out with him like 2 days ago. We were right here, just hanging around, just joking around. They're like, "Yeah, he got shot up. You know, he went to a rival's neighborhood, went looking for trouble, and he found it, and he got shot up."
Do you remember ever being scared? Do you ever remember like you were doing something or involved, or maybe it was a confrontation, and you're like, "Oh my God, I'm terrified right now"?
Well, yeah, there've been some moments where I realized this is not what I wanted. I just wanted not to be messed with. I wanted to stand up for myself, but I'm surrounded by guys who I don't consider friends. I don't, but I'm now so in there. It feels almost impossible to get out.
Wow.
But as I got older, I kind of gained a reputation, and I had my own crew within the gang. So
What was your reputation?
I was a very violent individual. I led by example. I knew, and the older guys knew. They knew how to manipulate it. And these guys are master manipulators, and they saw that I was hungry, as in to like prove myself, to be part of something. So I was the first to fight. I was the first to do this and that. And then one day, I got stabbed, and then I realized that this wasn't about fistfights anymore. This is serious. And I remember I was 15, and I went to the older guys. I was like, hey, I want to buy a gun. I want to buy a bulletproof vest. And they just saw like their golden ticket. Like, this is going to be our guy.
So you had a crew. What exactly? I mean, I don't know what you can or want to talk about, but
I'll talk about everything and anything. We sold drugs. We sold everything.
how did you know how to do? Like, how do you know? You know what I mean? Like, how did
Yeah.
you know how to sell drugs?
The older guys. Well, when I got in, I just wanted backup, right? I got it. I see them, doing drugs, and then on the side, some of them are selling. People are coming to them. They're customers. And they have money, and I'm like, hey man, I want some of that. I don't want it because I want to buy rims and gold chains. It's because I go home and there's no dinner.
Right.
I look at my brother and my sister. We got hand-me-downs. There's nothing. Our parents are abusive, and nobody told me like, hey, they're your responsibility. I just took it on.
So then, when you were running your own crew, did you kind of do it your way? Like, hey, this is how I'm going to do it. This is how. Like, what was different the way that you did things than
we were structured, and if we were going to do something dumb, we were going to, the way I like to say, if you're going to do something dumb, be smart about it. And none of us all of us within the crew probably should have got multiple years, if not life, for a lot of the stuff that we did.
Did you ever get arrested?
Yeah, but like more like stopped, but never anything. And I mean, one of the biggest things is like marijuana. A lot of people don't know, like, the kids growing up now, they don't see it as a big deal. But back then, you were getting the same years for weed than you were doing for coke. So when we were selling,
it's crazy.
We knew guys who got like 10 years, 15 years for weed, and we know, like, hey man, we can go do some serious time.
Now you can go to a dispensary.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I wish I could sleep better. And they give you. You would have gotten 10 years to whatever.
But he still doesn't look like a gang
I
member.
don't, so how did you? Well, that's where we're headed.
You didn't have glasses, right? You didn't have glasses.
I didn't have glasses.
Okay.
How did you get out?
Let's take a break and we'll find out when we get back.
Okay.
And I know you're dying.
Yeah, I am.
We're gonna have to hook you up.
You
need to be a gang member.
Honestly,
at least for a day.
I think this is.
Can you hook him up, Angel?
Not me.
All right, Joe.
No.
Okay, just checking.
The only gang I'd be involved with would be Green. Gang Green. Okay.
Oh my Lord. All right, folks, you're listening to Gun Owners Radio, FM 96.1, AM 1170.
The Answer.
Hey, we're real proud to have the National Concealed Carry Association as a 10-ring partner. NCCA exists to serve the Second Amendment community by providing a nationwide network of 2A advocates. They'd offer elite self-defense and concealed carry training from the nation's top instructors and provide rock-bottom prices at the best selection of gear and accessories. Join them today. Members get great prices and free shipping. You can learn a whole lot more from about them at National Concealed Carry Association.com.
Okay, we're talking to Angel Cortez, former gang member, former Army Ranger, and current cool guy.
A pool guy?
Not pool guy. Well, I don't know. Maybe. No, he's not a pool guy. Cool guy. Okay, so we were talking about your experience. You went through, you were in a gang as a kid. You kind of moved up through the ranks, and then what got you out?
So, I was deep in it, but I knew there's no future in this. There just isn't. And sooner or later,
you knew there was no future because you're watching your friends die.
Yeah,
you're watching
die.
Your friends go to jail.
Go to jail. And I had to make a decision. I had to admit not only to myself within, but outside, within the crew that I had in the gang, that's like, hey man, I was wrong. The path that we are on is wrong. There's no future, and we need to get out.
But you can't walk. You can't walk away from this, can you?
You can and you can't. I got lucky because, like I said, I had a crew within there, and at the time, at that specific time, about 95% of all violent crimes committed by that gang were from my crew, and then I was spearheading all of that stuff. So
when you quit, they all quit?
Not just that, but it was easy because I was the muscle. I mean, the crew was the muscle. So when I told them, like, hey, man, I'm out and they're out.
You told them that they were out.
Yeah. I gathered the guys at my friend's house, and I was like, hey, man, we need to get out. And some of them were like, they had already seen the path that we were going, and they, knew that I was different. They were different from all the other gang members that were part of the gang. And but some of them did question me. They're like, "Are you sure?" I was like, "Yeah." And then it took them, a couple of weeks to come around, and then they're like, "Yeah, dude, we're out."
Were you afraid? Were you like, I'm afraid that I just told all these guys that we're leaving. I'm afraid these guys are going to go tell somebody else, and then I'm going to get attacked.
Yes. But again, at the time, I mean, I already had guns. I had a bulletproof vest. I was.
And they were afraid of you.
I was seasoned, so I wasn't the biggest gangster. Of course, I got jumped and I got beat up and all this and that. But I mean, I won more, than I lost. So I told them, like, hey, man, and if you want, and I told my crew, I was like, hey, anyone who doesn't want to let us be, we're going to end it. There's no fights back and forth. It's all or nothing. So because it's going to be all or nothing. So when I told the gang, I was like, hey, I'm out and they're out too. And if you're going to come after us, exactly what's going to happen to you.
Wow.
And what I found interesting was that the guys that I thought would give us the toughest time were like, you know what, man, go do your thing, dude.
Wow.
And the ones who I thought would understand, they'd be like, call me all types of names and say that they're going to, do this and do that. But I mean, they never did. And then some of the gangs that we had problems with were like, okay, but some of them wouldn't let it be, and they got heated, and we did what we had to do, and I mean, for the most part, we're all okay.
So what was your plan? You're like, okay, we're going to stop doing this.
Yeah.
Were you like, hey, I'm going to graduate high school and join the Army, or
Yeah.
what was your plan?
No, so
Were you going to school during all this?
I was. So through all this, we're some of us are failing classes or quitting school. Before we actually even got out, like the day that I said, hey, we're out, we were already doing the transition. I made everybody slowly start getting real jobs, go back to school, take it serious, and or finish continuation school. And I had a full-time job, and trying to get my GED, because at that point I had gotten kicked out of high school. So they're like, hey, you're going to continuation school, and then I got kicked out of that. So I was already on the path. One other guy wanted to join the Marine Corps. I wanted to join the Army. And
so why did you pick the Army, number one? And then how, I don't know. I didn't serve, but doesn't the military say, hey, you ever committed a crime before? I mean, how did you get into why did you pick the Army, and how did you get into the Army with that path?
Because he's smart.
So I picked the Army because
You're smart.
yes. Growing up, I would, like most kids, I like Batman and Superman. But when I would watch war movies, I knew that Batman and Superman were fake, and the individuals in these documentaries or movies were real, and I wanted to be like them. I appreciated that they took care of themselves, that they showed a level of love that is obviously so high that they're willing to put their lives on the line.
So kind of what you were looking for in a gang.
Yes, 100%. And
But you never got incarcerated or put in jail.
Nope.
That's why the military was able to allow you to join.
Yes.
If you'd had a hardcore record, it would have been a prayer.
That for the most part that's true. But when the military wants guys, they'll get their numbers. Because I had 2 arrests, one with a deadly weapon and one with guns. I mean, with drugs. So you need a waiver, and so they'll give you waivers during the specific times. Like I'm pretty sure during the invasion, if you had whatever you had, they were signing off because I needed
They
somebody
needed
to sign
people
up.
because what was going on in Afghan and Iraq.
Yeah, now right
Afghanistan and
now,
Iraq.
yeah, now right now I'm not sure if they're that lenient.
Okay, so you go in. How old were you when you enlisted?
17.
You were 17.
Yeah.
Wow. So you had to get your parents' permission or
Yeah,
whatever.
I did. But at that point, I didn't live with my parents.
You know what's crazy? You were 17, but you were probably 40.
47.
Yeah, you know what I mean. You were probably far more. You'd have more life experience. You'd had more serious life experience than most 17-year-olds.
Yeah, that's probably true.
So I mean, when we like, hey, you're like, oh my gosh, you're 17, you joined the Army. You just got out of an Army, now you're joining,
Yeah.
the U.S. Army,
How fast did you move up in rank in the military? Because they must have seen you had leadership skills.
Yeah, I mean, before I was old enough to even buy a beer, I was leading men in war. I was a sergeant before I turned 21.
Right, that's what I thought.
Oh, okay, so you go to is it basic training?
Yeah.
You go to basic training. You got some guy yelling at in your face. You were just a hardened gang member who had a crew, and now you got some 25-year-old drill instructor who's yelling in your face. What was that like?
I loved every moment of it because I respected those men. I looked up to them. I wanted to be them. So I didn't have any issue. When I did have an issue was where guys in basic training would try to yell at you, and the way I saw it was like, dude, you're nobody. I'm not sure why you're yelling at me.
You don't want to go there.
Yeah.
Wow. So you had a fantastic career in the Army for 8 years. You were in the Army for 8 years?
Yeah, I was in for 8 years. I made it into special operations. I was fortunate enough to be part of 1st Ranger Battalion, 75th Ranger Regiment. And I spent some time.
Why did you do that?
Because when I first joined, I didn't know the difference. I didn't know there was a selection process for these special operation units. I thought you just went in and they just put you there. I didn't know anything. So once I found out, there was a selection process and they want you get the best of the best training and equipment and I wanted it. So I trained up. I made it.
You wanted to be the best.
Yeah, and not just that, but at the time I didn't have any accomplishments underneath my belt, so it was kind of hard to believe in myself because these selection process, yes, you have to meet the physical requirements, but more than anything, it's mental.
Wow.
And you have to believe in yourself. And I was fortunate enough to have a mentor in the military. His name's Hugo Vanderwall, and he helped me, believe in myself, and he taught me a lot and prepared me physically. And so when I went, I passed.
Who is this guy? He was an older.
Yeah, he was a sergeant. And then we say older, but like
Yeah, he was like 25.
yeah, he's like 25, so not that much,
So why did this guy take a shine to you?
I ask him that all the time, and he's my best friend. He's one of my best friends. He's the highest mentor that I have. I have multiple mentors, but he's right there on the top. And he is the top. And I asked him one day, I'm like, what did you look in me, and what did you see in me? And he said, you look like you wanted to learn, and you had a drive, but you just needed direction. You needed guidance. And him being at the time a sergeant, that's his job. So he just put all this time and energy in me, and I owe him a lot.
So what did you do as a ranger?
So
what's your job? What are the actual activities?
I was a demolition specialist. So I've blown up anything from vehicles, weapons, walls, doors, bombs, or also known as IEDs that the Taliban or Al Qaeda put in the roads, walls for us.
Why did you pick that?
Well, because one of my friends growing up had cable, so I would go to his house and I would watch the Discovery Channel and National Geographic Channel, and I would always see all the specials on the war in Iraq and Afghanistan, and I saw these things called IEDs that were killing soldiers, so I wanted to do something about it. And that's how I got there.
Were you particularly patriotic? It sounds like you were kind of a patriotic guy.
I'm actually the first one in my family to be born here. I didn't think about the label as patriotic, but yes, I was.
You were proud to be an American.
I was proud to be here because growing up, my mom and my dad, when they were around, when they weren't, abusing us, they would tell us about stuff. And most of my grandparents really raised us. They would tell us about what life was in Mexico and stuff like that. and as a young kid, I remember just being like, man, that's not my reality here. Even though I have it bad here,
Yeah.
that's not what
Oh, I see.
they went through, and
Yeah.
I'm really lucky. And one of the biggest things also is that, my mom got on food stamps. So I was born and raised, on food stamps. So another big reason why I joined it was because the way I saw it was, this country took care of my brother and sister and I, provided us food for years. And then so when 9/11 happened, I wasn't old enough, but as soon as I was old enough, I saw it as my opportunity to give back to the country that took care of us.
That seems like an unusual attitude to have towards your environment. If you grew up poor, in a gang, food stamps, and you had pride and were thankful. We're going to take you into the next segment because we got a lot to talk about.
The military did it all.
So
If it wasn't for the military, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't.
But you went into. Let's talk about it more. Let's keep talking about it.
All right, folks. Michael's getting all excited over here. You going to join up? You going to join up tomorrow?
No.
Come on, you need to join. All right. Well, hey, we live in a state where your self-defense rights are under attack. Let us be your voice to help defend and restore the Second Amendment. Help spread the word about the fight. There's 2 easy things you can do. 1, like and subscribe to the show on YouTube and your favorite podcast. 2, leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. It helps boost the show and puts it in front of a whole lot of people.
All right, so we're talking to Angel, and we were just talking about your upbringing and how you, like I said, you didn't really have a label for it. You didn't look at yourself as being patriotic, but that's really, you had pride in your country, and you said you were thankful for everything, and you'd heard stories about where your grandparents grew up in Mexico and how, hey, I have it so much better here in America. Even though you grew up very poor, didn't always know where your next meal was coming from, joined a gang, a lot of violence, always looking over your shoulder, got stabbed, had a really rough upbringing. I don't know if that sounds like an unusual response to that environment. I don't know if everybody in your environment has pride in the United States. Was your attitude towards the U.S. unusual, or what do you think?
I think no, I'm not the only story like this. There's a lot of them, and now that on social media, I've gotten traction and a bunch of messages, daily about guys who are now EMTs or they're cops or they're something or they're in the military. But this is surprising to some people or maybe to a lot, but within those gangs, they respect the military, because almost any one of them has a cousin or a brother or an uncle or something, that's in the military. And I understand that's, might be strange and, counterproductive within that type of thinking mentality. But I mean, a lot of the people in there like the military.
Wow. Okay, so you go through basic training. You go through, I think they call it A school. Is that what they call it?
Well, AIT, and then you have airborne school, and then the selection process to become a ranger.
And you became a ranger.
Yep.
How hard was that?
It was hard. I mean, we started with like 200 something, people, and I think we only graduated like 90, 95.
Wow.
And I mean,
And did you go right? Were you with a different unit first, and then you go?
Yeah, I was. I was in the regular Army first, and then like I was saying, my mentor believed in me when I told him like, hey man, I want to join special operations, and he's like, you can do it. And for the listeners, I mean, I'm not a big guy. I'm 5'6", and when I went through the selection process, I was only 130 pounds. So I'm going through the selection process with guys who look like Captain America, who look like Thor, but they're quitting, and it took me a while to realize, all the stuff that people were telling me, like Hugo, like, hey man, you got to believe in yourself, and the pain it's not gonna be there forever. And embrace the suck. Just go through it one day at a time, and you can do it. And next thing you know, in graduation, I'm there.
So the first time you saw combat, or the first time you were in a war zone, were you in the regular Army, or were you a ranger?
No, I was in the regular Army, and then my first part when I got to be part of the special operations community was in Afghanistan, and that for me was the most intense fighting. Because we got attached to a special forces group from 3rd Group, So we got attached to that team, and we were in the eastern part of Afghanistan, which is the mountains. And I mean, I wanted to be tested. I wanted to do the whole thing, to do the whole war thing. And at the time, I didn't understand that. And some of the seasoned guys were like, this thing that you want, you don't want. And then I went through it, and then I realized what it was. Because
were you infantry?
I was.
No, you were bomb. You're bomb specialist.
So what I didn't really think was that everything else that's going to happen, like your friends dying, your friends getting hurt, there's a price to pay for war. I have everything, but I've lost a lot of friends. A lot of friends got hurt. A lot of friends didn't come back, like how they came back a fraction of themselves. I mean, me, for the most part, I got lucky. I'm not sure if it's the universe, dumb luck, or God, but.
So the first time that you went into a war zone, and the first time maybe you went into combat in a war zone, was it familiar? Did you feel like you had maybe a insight that other people didn't?
In a way, yes, but in also a way, no, because no one's shooting rockets at you in
Orange County.
In Orange County or in Southern California, no one's putting bombs on the roads for you. So that was different. That's where I was shocked when they were shooting at us. I remember being like, okay, well, I kind of did a little something, in the neighborhoods, but this is different. This is the big leagues, And I remember the first firefight, and after that, and I held myself, I held my own. And it made me proud that when seasoned guys who'd been in special operations for like 10, 12 years would be like, all right, this is the mission plan, so-and-so. You go here, you go there. Cortez is with me. And when they were like, hey, Cortez, you come with me, I was like, obviously I'm doing something good.
You made it. Yeah.
What was your biggest takeaway? Like, what did the military, 8 years in the military, why'd you get out first?
I got out and it kind of by surprise. You have your ETS date. Basically, when your contract ends, I was so in deep into being a Ranger that one day they call me. They're like, "Hey man, you're 9 months out from your ETS date," and I was like, "What?" They're like, I was just so focused on being the best that I could be at that I didn't even consider like, "Hey, your contract's about to be out. It's about to be up." And people were telling me, "Hey man, you look like a lifer. You're a lifer." But at the time, I didn't like the restraints and restrictions that they were giving us. They were basically making us fight with one hand, one arm behind our back. A bunch of the seasoned guys were getting out, and I was in a point where, for almost a decade, my wife would follow me everywhere, never told me no on anything. She was super supportive.
You were married.
Yeah.
Coming out of a gang, 17, joining the Army, and you were married.
Yeah, 2 kids. And I'd miss a lot, like the birth of my kids. I wasn't there for, and I mean, yes, because I was, at war, but they don't know that. They just know, hey, Dad's not here. So, I asked her, what do you, can I re-up or should I get out? And she's like, what do you want to do? And I thought about it for about a week or two, and I was like, you know what? Let's get out. And then I got out to go to school to become a registered dietitian, because when I was actually still an active duty special operations guy, I was also competing in fighting in Muay Thai and kickboxing. Because we have such a high budget and have all the cool guy gear, but not just the gear, but we have like multi-million-dollar gym facilities for ourselves in our private compound, and we have physical trainers, athletic trainers, and registered dietitians. So you're always competing in that environment. And if you can be just a little bit faster, it's huge in there, because we're all competing, whether we acknowledge it or not. We know we're competing. You just go into the gym in the morning, and there's some guy, riding the bike, and he starts going faster, and then you go faster, and then you're competing. So this is the environment that we're in, So when I saw the sign on the door that said registered dietitian, I remember thinking, like, I don't know what that is, but it's got the word diet in it. Maybe it'll help me. And she knew how to talk to us, because she said, what would you change in your diet if I can make you 5 to 10% faster and stronger? And in that environment, that's everything. It's like, yeah, I want to be faster and stronger. So she told me how to change my diet, and it helped me so much. It helped me, and I actually had a fight coming up, and helped me, compete and train. So I won that fight. I believed in her. So when I got out, I started going to school to become a registered dietitian. I'm actually 2 classes away from earning my bachelor's.
Wow. And
You mean no more mess
congratulations.
hall food?
Yeah, no
What?
more.
How could you walk away? You would love it, dude. They got spaghetti.
I do like spaghetti.
Yeah, I know. Denny's spaghetti.
Denny's spaghetti. It's really good. If you haven't been to Denny's
Don't
lately,
even think
try their spaghetti.
You'll just shoot your whole program under the
So what else are you doing? How did we come into contact with you?
So I am the owner of OG Pumpkin, which is a company that I actually now sponsor UFC fighters and skaters. It started off as a clothing company and sticker company because when I got out, I had lost my purpose and I had lost my brotherhood, and I didn't know that at the time. So I started hosting UFC fights at my house and inviting veterans from my gym and school. And after 3 years of doing this, I was about to have my 3rd child, and my wife's like, "Hey, we got to stop doing these events because we're going negative into our bank account, or we're barely making rent. We have a 3rd kid coming, and I know what these events mean to you and the guys, but we just can't do it anymore." And I knew she was right, but I wanted to do something about it. So one day I was watching The Office with my wife, and my 5-year-old son drew a pumpkin, and he's like, "This is for you," and I was like, "This is going to be my logo for my company."
That's cool.
Because I have a Halloween. I like Halloween, like that type of thing. If you've ever seen in my combat footage or combat pictures, I have skeleton gloves or a skeleton bandana. I like Halloween. So I started making T-shirts and stickers off of that. And I didn't know. I just wanted to cover the food and the UFC pay-per-view that I was getting. And then now it's huge.
What's your website? How do people find your stuff?
On Instagram, it's the OG Pumpkin. The website, you can Google OG Pumpkin or Ranger Cortez for more interviews or anything like that. And now I host events. Our biggest one was last year. We had 400 people show up. We turned a warehouse into a skate park, and we had CJ from the Ramones come and play. We had law enforcement and veterans vendors. And I co-hosted it with Thrash and Raid, who is a former special operations MARSOC guy, so from the Marine side.
Yeah.
And we're just trying to
That's awesome.
bring communities together.
I wish we had 5 more segments, man.
No.
We're really, really
we got to
outstanding.
bring him back and see how things are going.
I think we're gonna do a Magnum episode.
I think so too.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Gosh, hate to go now, but hey, subscribe to our show on Apple Podcasts, Google, Spotify, YouTube, whatever your favorite flavor is, and please support our great sponsors: San Diego County Gun Owners, U.S. Law Shield, Dillon Law Group, PRMI Mortgage, Scott Vincent Coldwell Banker, Royal Realty, Sage Street Web Development, National Concealed Carry, and our partners having the new partner with American Shooters. Thanks to Joe Germisi, Michael Schwartz, and Brendan, the Wild Man Thomas. Folks, this is Gun Owners Radio, FM 96.1, AM 1170.
The Answer.
Thanks for watching this clip from Gun Owners Radio. You can watch us live every Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m. California time, right here on our YouTube channel, or if you're in the San Diego area, you can listen to us on 1170 a.m. We're also available on your favorite podcast platform for free. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you can help restore and protect the Second Amendment, not just in California, but across the country.